go. Welcome to another special Keep It Real show, Sunday night special. So tonight, while I'm waiting for my co-host, Mr. Jewett, I have Mr. Andrea Fapani here. Bring him on in, Kona. Here we go.
How's it going?
Good to have you here, right?
Thank you.
What a special opportunity it is to have you here. I'm so nervous a little bit. So how have you been doing here at the World Show? Let's go that way.
Well, I've been doing good.
Yep.
I only brought two horses,
Oh,
but two really good horses.
Yep.
Platinum Vintage is one that's won almost $250,000, and another one, Modern Gun. So they're two senior horses
Yep,
for the
yep.
reining. And I'm not here every year, so if I come, I want to always come with some good contenders.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody that you can make a mark on. So I think this year we have two good
Yep.
ones, good opportunities.
And then-
I showed well in the go around. They're both right on top there. So
The finals are
finals are tomorrow at 2
tomorrow
o'clock.
afternoon.
Yeah, 2 p.m.
Okay, great. Good luck for sure. How's that?
Thank you.
How about on the reverse side of that? When this is all over, what's your next? How do you go back and go home and come back?
Well, we're really gearing up for the futurity.
Yes,
This
for
is
sure.
our futurity season for us. We're going to come back, I think that 2 days before Thanksgiving
Yep.
is when we move in. So I like coming here a little bit before.
Yeah.
I come here and it's kind of a relaxed atmosphere. Like at the futurity, I'll have about 12 horses. Right. Most of my horses, I have 15 to 20, 25 horses. So coming here with two horses, it's been obviously a little bit of a vacation almost, but I like the fact that I can come here, show, and then I'll be back in 10 days, and it's not that big of a deal. You don't
Right.
feel like it doesn't take you as long to get used to it.
How about the different energy of the different two venues, the people here at the World Show, the Quarterhorse World, versus you have to come back and you're the guy at the futurity?
Well, I love it because most people here don't even know who I am, so it's great. No attention at all. I mean, when you do the reining, obviously your competitors and the judges, they know who you are and stuff like that, but for me, I love it because it's a lot of good people watching, and I watch everybody else, and I just sit back and enjoy it. It's good.
How about just a little story? Didn't you have one in the warm-up pin the other night? You can just talk about that a little bit, right?
Yeah, about the lady
Yeah,
that
the
got
little
mad at
lady.
me. Yeah,
Well,
that was just the other
because
night.
it's a reiner versus the horsemanship. She was doing horsemanship.
Well, yeah, and to be honest, I have no freaking idea what a horsemanship pattern is supposed to do. So they're coming in completely opposite directions than me. I'm trying really, really careful because I don't want to be that guy. There's only like 3 or 4 of us, and it was in the general riding time. It was like in the morning. So I'm doing some slow circles, and obviously I cut her off a couple times. I had no idea that I was doing it. So the third time that I come through the circle the way I would do it, she just stops in front of me and she's like, "Are you gonna keep doing that?" And I'm like, I was planning on it, but I'm not sure. What am I doing wrong here? And she's like, "Well, you're cutting me off every time." So I sat there for a second. I was like, "Well, the first class in the morning is the reining. It's general riding. So who's to say that you're cutting? I'm cutting you off, and you're not cutting me off?"
It's so
she's
fun.
like,
That's so
whatever.
good.
And she just
That's
went
so
on.
funny, right? Don't you know who I am? Okay, like I should have the right
I'm
away.
a nobody here, so I need to be really careful what I'm doing. So.
It's pretty funny. Well, that's okay.
No, it's totally good. It's challenging, that's for sure, because when you have so many people practicing different patterns,
Right.
like I said, like my reining pattern, I'm going across the arena, and she's going up and down.
Do you think your horses think anything different when?
Oh, my one horse doesn't really care Platinum, but the other one, Modern Gun, the first 2 days, he had no idea because there was horses.
Like
We
torpedoes?
always circled the same direction, and they're coming straight at him. He's like, "What the heck is this?" He had no idea.
I love it. Okay, so let's go back in time. I need to go back to the start. Can you kind of tell us about where you're born and tell us about your family back home?
Well, I'm from Italy.
Yes.
I was born on a dairy farm, basically, and a fifth generation dairy farm. So my dad, my uncle, his dad, and the whole family has been big dairy farmers. So I've been there all my life until I was about 18. But I started early on with the horses. My dad was always wanting to keep me and my sister. I have a 2 years younger sister, and he wanted us to stay busy. And after school, we always took care of the horses and started with English because that was kind of the thing respected in Europe. So
for sure.
Jumping, the first few years I started was English and jumping, a lot of lessons. And
Britches, were the britches?
Oh yeah, the whole thing, and I loved it. But one day a friend of ours told us, "Why don't you? I've been taking this reining lesson from a local trainer, and we didn't know what reining was.
right.
But why don't you just come and check it out?" And we went and watched it, and we were kind of amazed because we thought that Western riding was always, kind of
Western.
cowboys wannabe, you know, and the John Wayne type of riding. So. I agreed to take the first lesson with him the next week, and I fell in love, and I asked my dad to sell all the English stuff, and let's just do this, because it was just the first time that I slid a horse. It was an amazing feeling.
So did you ride English and Western before you saw the reining? or just English?
Just English, like straight English, and then we went to reining. And funny enough, in Europe, reining was kind of one of the first Western disciplines that got big. So that was kind of the first deal, so once I started with that, we were fully committed. I mean, we went all in, and my dad started buying more horses. We went to, was it Montreal or Toronto, where the Quarterama?
Montreal,
I think it was in Toronto. Yeah. So we bought our first mare there. I was about 12 when we bought the first reining horse there, brought her to Italy, and then came back through the years and bought more horses.
Wow.
And,
how cool! That's keeping it real, like the history of you guys. Like,
and I was young. I think when I was 14 was the first time that I came to the States by myself in the summer. My dad always gave me great opportunities to learn, and he said, if you want to be good at it, the States is where the big guys are. So every summer for a couple of months, I started coming and spending some time with trainers, and then it went on.
How about? I'm skipping a little bit here though. United States versus Italy, Germany reignings. Like, have you gone back and showed over there a little bit too?
A little bit, not in the last few years because I've been so busy here. But at the beginning of my career, I had to do a little bit of both because I had a lot of clients from Europe when I first started out. So they would ask me if I sold them a horse to go over there and show it for them. And back in the days, and I'm talking back in the days just 15, 20 years ago, things were a lot more further ahead here, but they've caught up so much that just the winning runners over there, they can be like top 5 in the finals here. I mean, they're doing really well.
Like in trail, I'll apply it to my event, like there's just a smaller percentage of good ones. Okay, exactly. Then there's a middle pack, which is all needs help, but they're pretty competitive. And then there's the bottom, right?
But the top, it's smaller numbers, but the quality is really good.
Right. So. Like they can come play with us.
They can come play in any day.
Right, for sure. Okay, so it's 1996 when you get the opportunity to come across?
Yeah, basically, I got to the point where I started. I was 18, went to college for just a few months, started veterinary school because that's was, in the back of my mind, I wanted to train horses, but I knew that I was supposed to keep on going with a dairy farm. I thought a good base ground with veterinary school would be great for what I was going to do, and then figured out that that's not really what I wanted to do. So I asked my dad if I could give it a try, and he said, well, at that time, military service was mandatory. So once you start college, you need to wait about a year after you drop out and do the military service, and then you can move on and do whatever you want. So there was a gap of about 10 months that I didn't really have a whole lot to do, and he suggested if you want to do it right, why don't you go find out? So I got connected with Brett Stone at the time. Todd Bergen and John Slack were working at the Stone Ranch.
So how'd that contact? How'd you get in contact?
We had a personal friend that was a good friend of Brett that came here a few times and rode with him when he was younger. So basically, he got us in touch. And to me, those guys were the hot guys at the time. You know, they had all the cool horses, all the pretty girls riding with them. I mean, it was just a place to be. Arizona was hot at that time.
For sure.
And,
for sure.
So I came for a few months, and the rest of history, pretty much, I fell in love with the sport even more, fell in love with what my wife is now, Tish, and basically decided that that's what I wanted to do.
Like in your early career here, when you come to America, what are the things that you learn real fast? Like, I mean, I'm sure you're just a sponge for information.
I had to work a lot harder than what I was used to at the horse shows in Italy. Like, and not so much at home because my dad was kind of a hard ass. He taught me, he was a dairy farmer, right? So he taught me to work hard. But the main thing is that at the horse shows, the intensity was at a different level. Like, I knew right away that I had to put my head down and learn a lot more. And the main thing for me was learning the young horse training. The minute I started working at it, I figured out that there was a huge gap that I didn't know. So I had to go back and learn a lot of the young horse training, the 2-year-old programs and that kind of stuff. Because I was just used to showing all the time.
And was it Todd and these guys that teach you how to...
Yeah, at first it was John and Todd, and it was the first year. I kept my non-pro card for a year. I worked for free because I wanted to really find out if it's what I wanted to do, and then if it wasn't, I was going to go back to Italy and stay a non-pro. And then I gave up my non-pro card after my military service, and I went to work full-time for Todd. At the time, he moved to Oregon.
But as a non-pro, you went to the NRHA fraternity, right?
Yeah, and I actually did well. I bought a mare for not a big budget that my dad gave me when I came here, and I think everything kind of fell into place. Her name was Best by Tari, and we won the limited non-pro, and we were third in the non-pro here at the Futurity, and that was kind of a stepping stone. A lot of people thinking that me winning the big Futurity was what started my career, but just that result, I'm like, okay, I came here for 10 months, and I can play at the top in the non-pro. I know I can do it in the Open, so that's what made me decide to do it all the time.
Does anyone know who you were at that time? Like
no. And I remember, same deal. We were talking about me running into the lady. I remember and I'm not going to say names, but there was a couple top non-pros. And at the time, like I said, I was kind of new to it. I mean, I have done reining a lot, but I didn't know all the rules in the arena and all that. It was my first futurity. So same deal. I'm walking around, and one of these top guys that had the top leading score going into the final runs right into me, and I'm just walking, and I look at him, and he's like, "You're right in my way." I'm like, "I was just walking my mare," and he's like, whatever he said. I'm like, "All right, I'll show him tomorrow night. Who's right?" Wrong. Sure enough, I beat him the next night. But
I'll remember you tomorrow night. Okay, I'll see you tonight. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss it here because I'm a nobody and I can barely speak English.
I'll introduce you to me when I the next night.
And it's not about being cocky. It was just it was I know. But I always find those kind of situations a challenge for me to prove myself.
But I mean, I've seen a lot of Europeans, Germans, Italians, Swiss, Belgium, that come over here and do very well. But it's just because, I want to just say, because you guys talk differently or you're from another country, people look at your hair differently until
you prove yourself.
Until you prove yourself, right?
But I do think that we have a little bit an edge in the fact that if you're willing to leave your country, leave everything behind to go to a completely different place to do something, you're going to be pretty serious about it.
That's hungry, right?
So, and that can be a fault too. I know myself early on in my career, I think I tried a little bit too hard. And I missed on some of the things, but I think it gives you a little bit of an edge.
So how about like when so you come here, you work for 10 months, then you have to go
back. Went back, did my military service, and then came back in 98, and then went on to Oregon to work for Todd Bergen.
You went straight to Todd's then, right?
Him and John had separated at the time. They did their own thing, so I went up to Oregon and worked there for 6 years.
So for those 6 years, let's say year 1 and 2.
5 years,
What were the things that you picked up that you didn't have when you left?
Well, like I said, the young horse program was a huge challenge for me in the fact that I showed all my life and I showed older horses, but I really didn't know how to communicate to a young horse. And that was kind of a challenge for me in the fact that I always took on horses that somebody else had trained and trying to make them better, but I never trained one all the way from the beginning on my own. Wow. So that was a huge challenge. So I had won the limited non-pro futurity and being at the top of the non-pro, but I never trained a horse from the beginning. So the first couple of years, Todd looked at me and he said, "I know you know how to show, but now we got to teach you the first part of the training, which is the biggest part." Right. And that was a huge challenge. And I picked it up, but it wasn't until the end of my career with Todd that I really felt confident with the young horses. And now it's my favorite part. At the beginning, I used to hate it because I wasn't comfortable at all.
Right. Yeah. But I mean,
it's a huge part.
Yeah.
It's what you do on a horse, really. It's how you started.
And then, like I think we were mentioning this before, is that piece of it is the edge, that how you understand. Like instead of someone breaking your 2-year-old, you're right there pretty close at the beginning to see what you have, especially if you have a whole bunch to sift through, right?
Yeah, well, nowadays we start like 30, 42-year-olds, and I can only ride 3, 12 months from then or 18 months from then. So really, I got to keep a really close eye all the time on them.
So in these 6 years, okay, so when do you meet Bobby Avila? Like, is that in?
I met him right away when I came. The best friend of mine, Ricky Nicolazzi, went up to work at Bobby the same time that I worked for Todd, and we were only about 3-4 hours away from each other. He was up in Portland, so on weekends we go and see each other. So and I met Bobby at that time, and he was always obviously Bob. And at that time, right before I came, he was big with Heroes and Friends and all those cool horses that he had. Lean with me, Lean us right on. So I always looked up to him so much. And Todd at that time was becoming the hot guy, and Bobby shifted more to the cow horse. But I knew exactly where Todd came from was Bobby, so I kept a really close eye on what he was doing and how he ran his business. And
so, I mean, I'm sure all the gentlemen, Brett too, is all these guys here are your influence, you'd say, at the beginning?
Oh, at the beginning, yeah. At the beginning, I think Brett, Bobby, John, and Todd were the guys that I really looked up to. And then later on in my career, I had to shift a little bit because that's the foundation of my program. Yeah. But then I had to reinvent myself later on and really exchange my program. So there was other people that really came in, but those were the guys that really gave me the start.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone needs a base, right?
Yes.
You need a strong base, have a program that, Todd worked for Bobby and whatever. They're all connected.
They're all connected. And that's what I gravitated towards that because it was the type of reining that I wanted to do and that felt. I think I fit in that program just because I came from an English background to where horses were a lot more collected. So the East Coast type of reining at that time was a lot more hollowed out horses with the head up in the air. So for me, I was attracted a lot more to the West Coast style.
So in these eras, is that what cleaned it up a little bit? Like these guys, well, the Cowards guys seem like, I heard about the rollbacks and
but I do think more than the maneuver was the overall appeal of the horse. When you looked at a horse that Bobby came in, they were clean, they were collected, they had the pretty tack on. The attention to detail was such a higher level that that's what I think changed the reining for. There was a big shift at that time.
You know, Bob always talks about, or Bobby always says, you only have one chance to make that first impression, right? So when you're walking to the center or you're loping on that first rundown, you want that judge to want to plus you, right?
Well, you grab their attention, and then it can work in your favor or against you. Because if you make a little mistake, you've got their full attention. But that's what you need to win, right?
You have a chance, right?
You have to edge a little bit. Yeah,
it's better than just walking to the center and being a zero and just
looking up and getting bored.
So you want the test of that. Okay, so how about these years that from like 98, 2000, and then tell me the progression of how you won all those.
Well, I was lucky. I mean, I don't know if it's luck or the opportunities from Todd or I earned my opportunities, but he gave me good horses right away. And the fact that he's a lot like Bobby, I remember listening to your deal with Bob to where if you train the horse, even if you're an assistant, they wouldn't take it from you. And that's how I got all those good horses. Basically, Todd picked the ones that he wanted to ride early on. He gave me the other ones, and then if they turned out to be the best ones, and I was doing a good enough job, obviously, he left them with me. And so it went on pretty fast to where in 2000 I won the intermediate Open Championship, and then 2001 I won the Open, and that was my fourth year that I was there with Todd, and that was a huge moment in my career because that was kind of my goal for my whole career. And now I'm 24 and I won the Open Futurity, so I had to really sit back and really figure out what I wanted to do.
Can you just talk a little bit about that year when you won the first one like that, the 2001? Like
2000. Basically, I came in 98 and I didn't show at all in 98. 99, Todd started putting me on some of the local AQHA shows. I remember a horse by the name of Buckaroo Bueno Checks that nobody knows, but it gave me the foundation because it taught me a lot of things. Like Todd, I think coming from Bobby's school, he didn't just put me out there and threw me to the lion. He wanted to make sure I went through the steps. Well. So I went back and spent a year just at home, then a year helping him at the horses, just kind of see how things were going. Then the next year I started showing at local AQHA shows, and then I came to the NRHA shows. But by the time I came to the NRHA shows, I think I had an edge because as a youth rider, I already knew how to show. Then I had all that background with Todd. And by the time I came, I was ready to whoop some ass, and it happened pretty fast. I think not so much because I wanted to prove, but because I was ready. I mean, I've been working so hard for the last 3 years for Todd, and I'm ready to go show him that I can do it, and that's, I think, how it happened.
How did you control your emotions back then?
Very well. Not very well. Right? That was Todd's big deal. He's like, dude, you gotta chill out. It's just too much. So,
like I can see this like growing and as the competitions gets tougher, I can see like, okay, let's do it, man.
It gave me an edge, but I made mistakes, obviously, as a young rider. I was 22, 23, so, when you're that young, you want everything, but you want it now. So the patience was the part that I need to learn, but I learned it with some bad mistakes, I guess.
So what year do you meet Tish, and when do you guys get married and stuff like that? Like, is that?
Well, I met her when I first moved to the States. Then I went back to Italy, kind of went apart for a little bit, and then she came back up to Oregon a couple of years after I started working for Todd, and we've been together ever since. We married in 2002, and had my first son Luca in 2004, my second son Jeremy in 2006, and so I mean that was a big shift too, because for myself, I went out on my own in 2003, and it was just me and my wife, and she was the biggest supporter. It was all about me and my career and all that. But then when we started having first son, then second son, then things changed a little bit. So you need to
did you have to balance your time a little bit?
Well, of course, yeah. I've been lucky in the fact that my family's always been right there with me all the time, and I think we're lucky as horse trainers because of that. We're not traveling as much without our family, and so it's been great.
I see a lot on the show, a lot of successful when it's strong family home, that they're very successful. Mm-hmm. I see sometimes where the family's not as stable at home, and it kind of puts a little disadvantage to them a little bit.
Well, for sure, because I think you have that mental stability. When you know you've got somebody behind you all the time, you've got their support, and you've got a family to raise. I think it keeps you. First of all, it keeps you pretty level-minded. It doesn't matter how much you win or anything like that to your sons. They're not looking at you when they're young. they're looking at you as a father,
Right.
not how much you
Right,
make.
right.
They have no concept of that. So I think they keep you a little more grounded, and I think they help you grow a little bit.
How about like Tish? Because she's in my domain where she showed on the West Coast with me.
Yeah, she started with all the stock shows and all that.
And
yeah.
she won a lot. She won a lot of stock horse classes. She won a lot of horsemanship classes. She was like the thing. Like,
and I didn't recognize that. I saw all the buckles and all that. I thought, yeah, whatever. There must have been some gincanas or something. But it was a big deal. Then I came to understand it later on.
She like all our highest level like horsemanship classes on the West Coast, she'd won.
Yeah.
She was great.
She showed me all that, and at the beginning I didn't understand it, but she's become. I mean, right now she's doing really well in the reining too, and that's part. I think what keeps me going is seeing the family raising up into it. Like my son Lucas shows a lot. My other son does a different sport, but we all do things together, and that helps a lot.
You know, I mean, just like she's doing real well as a non-pro right now, but. You're talking about a lot of younger kids that do the horsemanship very well right now, the non-pros, and so like that. I find all the good horsemanship girls that did that and then start the reining, they're pretty because they got good seat.
They do,
right, and got good hands usually.
And I think that girls want it sometimes more than guys, especially early on. Those girls are a lot more serious, and they want to prove it. And they love the horse. That's another big thing that I think it's a huge thing. I think girls come in it because they love the animals. Guys go in it just for different reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Brad Jewett. Bring Brad Jewett in. I know you have another job too, so
yeah, and it's still going on, but there's nothing else I can do. They're in the pen doing the rail work, waiting for results. So,
what class is going on right now?
Horsemanship.
Okay, got
it. Select level 3 horsemanship.
Well, we're doing pretty good here. We've gone through.
Yeah, I've been watching the whole thing because I didn't get to hear the first part. You were interviewing him earlier, and I love this guy, man. So I didn't want to miss it. So I've been over there watching it at the back gate.
So you win the fraternity. So tell me, like, is that the next step is go on your own now?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but when you win the futurity, you're like, okay, this was my dream. I'm still working for Todd. What do I do next? I was like, well, obviously I got to do it on my own. We got to see if I can do it on my own or not. So I worked for Todd for another year, and then in 2003, went out on my own with Tish, and we started our own business. And then I went back and forth. I was for 5 years in Temecula, and that's when I really got to know Bobby. At that time, he was in Temecula too. So I started picking his brain. I've always looked up to him as a horseman, and the brand that he really built for himself, his sponsors, what he was doing with his name. So started picking his brain, going and riding. I didn't have an indoor arena; he had one, so I used to go there and ride with him all the time when it rained. And I just really learned a lot in those 5 years from him. And then moved to Arizona, and then bought myself another place in San Marcos where we were going to actually, I wouldn't say retire there, but our plan was to just stay there, and it was right in front of my current vet, John Newcomb's place. At the time, he was married with Jill. And then in 2010, Pat Warren, that owns the ranch, Ranchos Rio, where I'm at right now, offered me to move over there, move my business, and manage that ranch. And we really didn't want to move anymore, so I told Tish, I said, well, let's just ask them for something that they probably want to accept, a 10-year contract and this much money to go do it. And sure enough, they say yes.
I like that, right?
So I looked at this, I was like, here we go again.
Wow.
Now we've been there for 10 years, though, and love it. And we're planning on not moving back. So it's good.
Really?
Wow. Just think 10 years back ago, how that,
I know.
Right?
I moved every time, and every time I moved, Tish is the one that likes kind of the comfort zone to where she doesn't want to very many new challenges, and I'm the opposite. And that's probably why we work together really well, in the fact that I'm always looking for something else. I'm always looking for more, and for me, the money was never what pushed me. I just wanted more opportunity, more horses, more shows. And so, when I took that job, it really changed our life because it put me in a situation now to where, I can kind of decide what I want to do. I'm lucky enough to where I have the clientele, but I can decide whatever I want to do.
How about just right here, talk about your sons a little bit, like what do they do and what?
Well, my older son, Luca, didn't start very young, but he knew how to ride. But like a lot of boys, he was in all the sports, baseball and all that. And then figured out that he probably, just like his dad, he wasn't that great at team sports.
Team sport guy, I like that.
So we didn't take losing because of somebody else very well. So
you can't play all the positions, right?
That's
so we decided we were gonna. So being in Scottsdale, he started playing some golf, and he still does that quite a bit. And then he started riding more and more, and now he shows and. Last year he had an amazing year as a level 2 rider. He won over $200,000. Wow. He won a lot of futurities. Won the level 2 futurity. So he won a lot last year. But So super proud of him. And then my youngest son, Jeremy, does something totally different. My passion myself, if I wasn't into horses, I'd probably be a motorcycle racer.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Love
gave
that
to my son.
Yeah.
My wife, Tish, would not let me buy a motorcycle, so I had to buy the first one for my son, Jeremy, and I had to buy myself the second one to chase him. So
Yeah.
that was my shot of getting
Wow.
a motorcycle. So started with that early on, and then and now he's a really good amateur racer, and he's racing a lot, and that's our part. Other side.
How about like Arizona? Like I have all my friends that bring their motorcycles to Sun Circuit all the time, and they just go up and just drive around.
Yeah, you can drive around, and Arizona is great for that. But he's really serious in motocross, so we do just racing. He's actually 4 days a week. He's in California, Southern California, working with a trainer there, and then the other time he's at home, and then we go to Texas and all other places for sure.
Does he have
races.
like a tour? Does they have like a little tour like we have
the
horses?
national races. They're the big ones, and then the smaller ones.
What size bike is he?
85, KTM 85.
Wow.
Actually, just got picked up by Orange Brigade, which is the team for amateur for the KTM. So
And
we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's sometimes you get to go watch him and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was just 2 weeks ago in Ponca City for a couple of days, just watching him here in Oklahoma, and then there's the biggest one, the national, the championship is in Tennessee, so we do that.
Is that like another time where they don't know who you are really?
Yeah,
so,
I'm Jeremy's dad.
Yeah,
he's not my son. I'm his dad.
So you just go, you gotta go out there and just like stand and like they're not bugging you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
I love it.
How cool is that?
That's awesome.
Okay, so there's one thing I didn't tell you about. Okay, it's
What's
that
that?
rapid fire thing. You see our rapid fire?
I've seen a couple
We
of
had-
them. Yeah, so so you don't have to tell me those. Huh?
Yeah, so I
Those
got
are
like
surprise.
10
All right.
simple questions for
it's
you.
literally-
Sip of water before we go
Yeah.
down.
It's surprise rapid.
All right.
Questions.
Okay, can you get any music for me? Yeah, this is the fun part.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, no? Okay, thank you.
Wrong button.
Oh,
I love your guys' music. You guys have good taste in music.
This are those spooky
I'll take credit
questions.
for
This
that.
is
I'll
a
take
little
credit
He gets the crap music.
right.
Okay. First question. Name a non-horse related occupation you would like to try for just 1 week.
Either car racer or motorcycle
Yeah,
racer.
for sure.
Oh, I like this guy, man. That was
What-
mine when I wanted to be a NASCAR driver.
What do you like to do first once you leave the house in the morning?
Well, I jump in my Razor and go to the ranch. So that part, I'm already a car racer between their house. And it gets
How
pretty
far
hot
is it?
sometimes. It's only half a mile, but I can do it in 2.5 seconds.
Oh, I love that. Wow. Okay. Name your favorite color of shirt you like to show in.
Blue.
Yeah.
I hate red. Sorry, but that's
okay.
just
It's all good.
bad luck for me.
What food do you miss that's made in Italy?
A lot, but I've learned to be a good cook. So prosciutto, salami, any type of sliced meat, but I
Okay.
actually can make it myself now. So
Okay.
it's a
Okay.
cool thing.
Love that. Okay. Do you have a favorite pair of spurs that you wear most often?
The sharpest one around. No, I'm kidding. No,
He likes
I
those
really
light
don't.
bellies.
Okay.
Okay, how about this one? What celebrity would you like to play you in your own movie?
Oh,
Anyone that reminds you of you?
who would remind you? Tell me.
No,
Who
I
would
don't
it-
know.
No.
Oh, I'm thinking
Okay, we
like
can- we
Jeff
can- we
Gordon
can ask
or
the board
like he
for
likes
that.
race car drivers.
Yeah,
so-
but like a celebrity. Oh, a celebrity, not an actor.
No, yeah,
A celebrity.
yeah, any kind of celebrity.
Yeah, somebody that Michael Schumacher. Something
Oh, there you go.
like that from
yeah,
IndyCar
yeah,
drivers.
yeah, yeah.
IndyCar
Yeah,
driver.
you're good with that. Okay. Which reining is the most challenging to win?
Any raining. That's a challenge in itself.
The next one.
Okay,
The
next.
next one.
What is your pet peeve at your barn?
You better hang the bridle reins right the
Oh,
way I
yeah.
want
Oh,
them because
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
stand it when they just throw him on the hook.
Ouch.
It's
Okay,
just
yes, for sure. Name your favorite breed of dog.
American Bulldogs. We had 2 now, and we love them. So American Bulldogs.
Okay, perfect. And- Okay, last one. If you had a warning label, what would it say?
Man, it'd be like that big, I think. But I don't know. Just don't talk to me until I'm done showing.
I was going to say intense. So for love of the game, it's about turning on the mechanism. Like the pitcher shuts everything off, right? So that feels like you like.
It's not-
Clear the
and now that I
mechanism.
don't want to talk, is that I block everybody off for the last half hour until
Yeah,
I show there's
yeah.
nobody there other than
Yeah.
me and my horse. So
But that's what we love about you,
They
right?
all think I'm an ass, but
No,
I'm not.
that-
I just don't even acknowledge anybody.
That's so you, but it's that you can tune everyone else
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stick with your job.
That's what works for me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are different. Like one of my biggest competitors, Casey Deere, he's having fun until the last minute. He's shooting the shoots with his clients and all that. For me, I would never be able to concentrate doing that. You know, it's just myself.
Well, there's so many things that you're thinking about along the way, and then focusing on your horse seems like.
For me, it's about feeling everything that horse is doing underneath me. So I don't want any distractions.
Right.
Because to me, especially dealing with young horses and futurity horses, which is what I love to do, I got to know exactly what I've got the minute I walk in the show pen. So I just don't want to be distracted.
Sounds great. Okay, so Kona, you'll give me a couple commercials real quick, and then we'll come back.
Let's do it. We'll be right back.
We're just about ready to get underway. Our next exhibitor is at the gate.
They're trying to prove that they belong here.
They really have their eyes set on that podium, but this pair just hasn't been consistent.
Championship titles are elusive.
This is a difficult field.
It all comes down to this. Here we go.
When years of work come to seconds of action, give yourself every edge. Get rebound technology for faster muscle recovery with ProForce from Nutrina.
If you're looking for a smarter way to ship, look to Unishippers. We've been helping small to medium-sized businesses cut their shipping costs for more than 30 years. You'll get significant savings with UPS and more than 65 LTL freight carriers by leveraging the group buying power of our 90,000 plus customers. Unishippers is a one-stop shop for reliable shipping, significant savings, exceptional personal service, and easy online logistics management. Let Unishippers deliver for you. Call Mark and his team today.
Here at Rod Patrick, we take the fit process very, very seriously because we know the importance in your performance on how you're fit. So come in, let's give you the opportunity, tell me what you're experiencing, tell me what your challenges are, and I know together we're gonna find the right answer and you're gonna be happier than you've ever been with your boots. Come see me, and thank you.
Yeah, I just kind of like to listen to the music when they come back. Like, I don't like to talk right away because I kind of like the music.
I bring it in.
I always tell Kona, like, turn it up, man. That gets me pumped. All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the Keeping It Real show. Thanks for joining us on the first part. Sorry I had to miss, but yes, I got to do my day job in the horsemanship tonight. So welcome back. Again, we got Andrea Fappani with us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
For myself, because I was not here at the beginning. Thanks. I really appreciate it because we know you're showing here as well, and you're showing
I'm
trying
tomorrow in the finals. Yeah.
Two in the senior.
In the senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Tim, I watched the whole thing from the back gate over there at the Performance Arena, and it's been great. So I'm caught up. I'm caught up.
Yeah, for sure.
But now we're moving up into the little bit more.
Yeah, here we go.
The next chapter of Andrea Fappani's career, I believe.
Yeah, let's try it. So my big question I always ask is was there a point in your career that you had to reinvent yourself, or was there a couple times and stuff? And how
there was a couple big points, but for me, and I think that's probably been one of my strong points. At the end of the year, I review my program and my runs, and I say, okay, what do I want to make better for the next year? And I only pick maybe one or two little things, but I've always concentrated on making things better. So if I can concentrate on that every year, I think I can always reinvent myself. But there's been the biggest one, I guess, about 5 years ago. Well, there's been two. I felt that, which it's kind of specialized in our sport, but there was a couple things in my rundowns and other parts of my runs that weren't as good as I wanted them. So I brought in different trainers. One was Mike Flair that helped me a lot in the stops, and he was great. I mean, he helped me so much. He completely reinvented my program in the stops. And then Brett Stone. Brett and I have stayed in touch through the years for a long time since I met him. But about 5 years ago, I would say that I was kind of ready to almost give up. Not so much. I won a lot, and the motivation just kind of wasn't there anymore. And he brought a whole new level into what I was doing, and he showed me things that I could done so much better that I was like, all right, here's the new challenge. Now we got to make things better. So he was really involved in that.
I think this is what you do anyways, but like, do you watch a lot of your videos and do you watch it with someone else, or you analyze it first, or
I'm watching them by myself all the time, and never the good videos. Always when I'm not happy.
Right.
I think I've watched my Futurity runs video when I won the Futurity once after I got home, and never in my life again, because I'm always moving forward. I'm watching my videos to learn, not to say how good have I done, but and Brett is the one that I shared my videos with, just because his first response, he picks the one thing that needs to be changed. So I always listen to the first thing. Sometimes he gets too complicated in there, and he oversees things. But the first thing that he tells me, it's always something that's really important to me. So we review them together a lot.
So we've asked similar questions in the past, and a lot of people say, I watched so-and-so, and that's who I wanted to emulate, in getting started. But what I'm hearing from you now is, you don't watch anybody else. Like, no. you know where you want to be, and if you don't feel like you're there, you show your guys your runs and like, where can I be better?
The biggest thing for me was that I've looked up to Todd and John and Bobby so much that when I started winning a lot, I was like, okay, if I keep looking up to them, I'm gonna go backwards.
That's great.
Well,
I mean it sounds arrogant, but
for as much
sense.
as it sounds like that. They won 5 years ago. Raining is going to keep changing.
Yeah.
I'm winning nowadays.
That's awesome.
If I don't make it better, if somebody's beating me, I'm always looking up to those guys that are beating me.
Yep.
But if I'm doing really well and I'm the number one in 2000, to beat number one in 2001, I got to look at myself what I can make better. So I've always looked at myself. And also the one thing that, once again, I don't want it to sound cocky, but I used to want to please the judges. Now I'm going to please myself in my eyes, in the fact that you can only do so much to please everybody. You can't please everybody. Right. I'm looking at the reining, and I want to perfect the reining that I'm doing. So when I'm perfecting what I'm doing, I think that the judges are going to recognize it, and it's worked out. Because for a while there, I was so worried. The one judge told me I needed to change that. The other judge told me I needed to do that. And I'm like, son of a gun, what am I going to do? But I think at the end of the day, you got to do what you think it's best for you.
So I was going to ask you, like, you don't even know what. Hopefully the judges are similar how they judge you, but on each day, you're going to have 5 new judges.
Oh, yeah. Just like in the go-around here, especially sometimes you have NHRA judges, sometimes AQHA judges. Mm-hmm. You don't know what they're looking at, But when you've got 5, if you do a good job, it's going to come together,
The right three scores.
And that's the thing. Like, I used to look at the scorecards and all that, and I do go back and obviously to learn, but I don't get mad anymore because I'm like, if that judge didn't see a penalty and the other one did it, cares? Right. It all equals out,
How about this? So when Bob, Todd, John, Brett had their run in the NRHA for a while there back in the day.
Yeah.
And then, so they were like the first wave, or there's a wave of influence that they did, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling like you're the next wave, or you've been.
Well, later on, people, it's always other people that recognize that. For me, I've been really consistent, and that's what I want to be. I've always looked up to a guy like Tim McQuaid. The minute he started winning, he was always there. You can only win so much, but the important thing is being there all the time. So for me, it wasn't so much about winning the next Futurity. It's about putting myself in that position to where I can win the Futurity, But if I'm there all the time, then hopefully, it'll happen.
Is there something that you see in yourself that's your style? Is there something that you do do you have a style?
You know what I like about what people comment, and then when I look back, I didn't realize it, but is that I don't have a certain style. I'm adapted to the horse, and that's what I love about it. There's obviously a horse that it's going to adapt to the type of riding that I do more than another, but the one thing that I'm the most proud of, that like some of the best runs I've done on completely different kind of horses, and I've been able to sit on a saddle, make them do maneuvers completely different. One might spin with his head in, the other might spin with his head out. The one might run to his tops with his neck low, the other one with his head up in the air. But for me, I've always tried to put that horse in that best position for that particular horse to perform.
So I think I heard my friend Bobby Ingersoll say this, that you have to adapt to the horse because each horse has their own little things that they can do.
If you're a true horseman, that's your job, to adapt to the horse, not to try to adapt the horse to you.
The horse to your program, right? You have basics, but yet to get the most out of that horse,
obviously I have my background, and I want it to fit in that mold, but it can fit a lot of different ways for sure.
So with that, anything else, Brett?
No.
Can you kind of briefly talk about your 2-year-old program and how you guys break your horses out and stuff?
We put a lot of emphasis in the 2-year-old program. I'm involved in that quite a bit, and that's probably one of the biggest challenges for the guys coming to work for me, because I expect so much as 2-year-olds, and by that I don't mean out of the horse, but out of the rider. Right. Meaning that to me it's the most important year of their year. That's when they learn all the good or bad habits. They absorb everything that you teach them. So, in this business, I think even you guys probably the same thing. It's challenging in the fact that we put the less experienced rider on the 2-year-old and the most experienced rider on the older horse that already knows his job to go show. So, I'm trying to build these young kids that are coming in. I'm actually putting them on horses that already do their job. My most experienced and myself are the ones putting it on the 2-year-old early on, because I want that experienced rider that really knows what he's doing, put it on the 2-year-old. But it's a lot of consistency. It's 5 days in the arena, 1 day on the trails, and 1 day off. So all my 2-year-olds, they go on the trails there in the desert. I want them to just get broke. And we start them never in the arena, always outside. And
so someone's told me that like these 2-year-olds, like some people, maybe your program too, is you're trying to get them broke first, so you don't do all the tricks so fast, right? Like don't spin and stop so hard so early. Let's get these things so broke to your body, your legs, your hands before you even try that, because you were saying the stops is the easy part.
Well, the maneuvers, to me, if you put them in a position to where they can perform the maneuver, and it doesn't matter if it's a reining maneuver, a cutting maneuver, a trail maneuver, then the horse can perform it. But to me, the trend in the last few years we've seen, especially in the reining videos, of these 2-year-olds doing these amazing maneuvers. But then when people offer for me to try to buy and I get on them, they feel like crap. Because I'm like, I don't have any of the buttons on them. Yeah, they can go stop or turn, but they don't have that. And I don't know if it relates in what you guys do at all or not, but I know that the trend is to push them more to do the final results early on, and it doesn't work like that. You got to put the foundation.
I have a very unpopular belief here, but we have these 2-year-old events, and I always love all the 3-year-old events, because I think it takes so much of that foundation. I think we shove them into these positions so much to do an event as a 2-year-old, when I think they still need a little bit more time. There's about maybe 3 or 4 horses that year that are going to be good no matter what, but the other 100 and some odd 2-year-olds that are out there competing, I don't know. I'm one of those that is more of a proponent for the 3-year-old. Maybe it's because
myself, I'm a proponent for the 4-year-old for the reining.
Right.
So and a lot of people don't believe that.
But you're about the foundation, and I love that, because that's the same thing with me. I tell people when they come to me right away, it's like, if you're looking for immediate results, that's not really the guy. I want to build a foundation on your horse and yourself. And
people focus on the great one. The great one, you can't mess them up. We got to look at the rest of the horses.
Yeah.
How many do we have showing at the futurity that we don't see in the rest of the ride? How many do we see in the derbies? They never grow up to be non-pro, amateur type of horses, youth horses later on. So it's putting that foundation.
Sure. How about just going right there where you're talking? How about like the market and stuff? You were saying that. Buying and selling older horses that are good non-pro horses, but yet you sell one, how do you replace it? Can you talk about like people asking you and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, it's hard. It's definitely a hard deal in the fact that you spend so much time training them, and then I have always a lot of people asking if I want to sell the horses, but then I always ask myself or the owner if it's an owner. So all right, they're willing to pay us $200,000. Now, what are we gonna do with that $200,000? Are you gonna put it in your pocket and run, or you want another one? No, I want another one. Like, well, good luck finding it, because now, so it's always hard. There's owners that own a lot of horses, so obviously you sell those. But a true non-pro that's enjoying his horse, even if you get offered a lot of money, I just think it's hard to replace them sometimes, for sure.
So, I mean, there's just a lot right there. Like, we have that same problem, right? If you sell an older trail horse, you can't replace it. You can't find that same product you need.
I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I mean, and speak to this if you've had any experiences like this, but we got horses when with our first world champion. I was like, man, that was, I was kind of cocky. I was like, well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'll just sell this one. I'll just make another
one just like that. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I've got about 3 or 4 years. I'm like struggling
to
make these horses, not realizing the horse flesh that I had. And so
a lot of times as trainers, we need to realize that, what we can do is bring the best out of the horse, but you can't change the horse. So I'm long, and it still is that it's always been kind of it's been in front of me, and I've always told myself, I'm okay with never reaching it because I'm enjoying it, trying to beat him so much that it's good. That's what I want to do. But it's been great, and I think that the fact that I've tried to change my program year after year after year is what gave me a little bit of an advantage to stay that consistent, because I think a lot of guys, they get to a point to when they're winning really good 1 year or 2 years or 3 years in a row, and then they kind of stall there, and then it's such a challenging business. You got to evolve all the time in order to stay competitive.
Well, it's a cycle, right? Like the younger horses and going to fraternities and stuff. It's this vicious cycle of
well, and there's younger guys pushing more and wanting more. So as an older guy with I'm not saying that I'm old, but I've got 2 kids and I'm competing with 22 to 24-year-old guy that I look back at, I was the same way. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to prove. You have nothing to lose. All you're wanting to do is beat Andrea Fappani. So it takes a certain type of determination on my part to still be able to.
But some of those younger kids probably motivate you too.
Yeah, they push me.
Right, in a different way, right? Like, oh, these guys are catching up. Hey,
last year, Cade McCutcheon, he whooped all of our asses. I mean, we were like looking at each other and saying, what the heck is going on?
What happened?
And to be honest with you, this is a funny story I never told anybody, but the minute I got home from the futurity and they put the Rainer out with his page on the deal, I stepped it right at the bathroom right there. I put him right there in the bathroom.
It's like Rocky Balboa with the pop.
That was the motivation. Not that I wanted to beat him, but I'm like, he beat me this year. It's not going to happen.
That's awesome.
Right? I mean, but those are things
those are the reminders that I got to find stuff like that to push me, because winning is not enough anymore. I got to find something that motivates me to keep going, for sure.
So how about just like, I called you an ambassador of the sport, right? So,
well, thank you for that. I don't know if I'm worth that. But.
Well, many people come up to you and talk to you and ask you questions, take your picture, want to sign things, and me too. I'm sorry, I'm a fan, right?
Yeah, me too.
It's a compliment.
It's a great compliment, for sure. You've done something right if you're doing that.
Humble that we're doing what we love to do, okay? What's it feel like when you're out there? Like, do a lot of the Europeans come and see you a lot, like when they come next week?
Yeah, and with social media nowadays, you have a lot of comments and a lot of good and bad, but, there's a lot of attention on you, but I feel lucky. I know there's a lot of people looking up to me. There's a lot of young people looking up to me. I have a lot of young trainers that call me and ask for advice or want to come ride, and I'm always open to that. I do think that in our business, we need a little bit more open-minded as far as sharing the knowledge.
Right.
I think the old school of Hard Knocks, to where you either come learn it from me and work for me, I'm not going to give it to you, doesn't work anymore. I think that in order to make the sport better, we need to share as much as we can. We need more horse trainers, so I think the more we spread the knowledge, the better it is. But it does feel good. I mean, it actually makes you feel like you're doing something right.
Right. And your podcast, our shows, it's about touching people we don't even know, right?
I've had so many people here that, they've never done the Rainy and say, we just wanted to say how much your podcast is helping us. I say, for what? I'm not even talking about what you're doing. And they're, oh, no, you are big time. And, so it's a lot of
we get a bunch of the guy the Frenchie guy Jonathan from Pennsylvania today that came by when he was on our show. He's like, oh, man, you got to check out Andrea's podcast.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I have no idea. So obviously, it's a good thing. I started it because I wanted people to see a little different side of me. They see me so focused, showing all the time, and I'm this hard ass that doesn't talk and all that. But I wanted to. I have a lot of knowledge, and I want to spread it. So I want to interview other people to let people know what we're doing. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
it's interesting how the reputation precedes you sometimes, because that's exactly what I thought when I heard you doing a podcast. I'm like, really? I didn't think this guy talked.
right.
You know, that's the persona.
That is.
I didn't
That
know
is.
you. I mean, I was just completely getting it from
for
outside
sure.
sources, right?
And
So-
it's normal, you know, when you always see a person in that certain character, you don't know, you know.
So I'll use our show too, though. People walk by here, oh, we love your show. Thank you for doing it. I mean, because we just do it. And you're touching people you don't even know.
Yeah, I'll be riding my horses out there, and they go, keeping it real. I'm like, all right, awesome.
And just to bring you in, right? Like, just to bring you in. It's like,
It
we
is,
can't
it's
believe,
fun.
like, because we're other events, right? And we're bringing you guys, and bring Bob last night. Like, wow, it's like opening.
But you know, the one thing that I find out is the more people that I talk to that don't do reining, the more the similarities I see. The same challenges, the same struggles. I mean, it's always the same. We do this because we love the horse, but there's a lot of challenges that come with it.
Yeah,
you know, but
for sure. I mean, we're one big family in a weird way, right? We're all related somehow. Okay, we all want to show horses. We love the animals. We love the process.
Well, I mean, we had Casey on.
Yeah,
And we've had Bob Avila, Robert Chown, like cow horse, reiners, all of that. And everybody is connected somewhere, somehow. You know, I didn't realize how much they'd showed the all around. And Bob won the Western Riding one time, and Casey
Bob has
as
like
well.
32 world championships or something.
Crazy.
You make sure you check your wife's resume. She has a big resume too.
I know she does.
In our world,
she does.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. How about just saying, because I know.
I know. She's the one that actually told me about your show at the beginning, because she loves you, and she's
I
like,
love
"Do you
it.
see that Tim's doing the show?" I'm like, "Oh, you gotta watch it.
Good job,
it's great."
Tish.
Who did she ride with? Who did she ride with?
Yeah.
Who did she?
Lynn Gimple, I think.
Glenn Gimple, and then what's the other lady that passed away? Linda. Linda Baker.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. She was a tough lady.
She told me a story about
Yeah. Okay. How about your sponsorships? I know you had some great sponsors for a long period of time. Can you tell us how you branded yourself and how you?
Well, that was another lesson from Bob. When those years that I was in Temecula, I picked his brain because I always thought that he had the best brands in the business, and they always stayed behind him, and he did a really good job. So I've learned that, you know, your integrity and what your brand represents is a lot. It means a lot to the sponsors, obviously, to everybody. But so as I went out on my own, I created my own little brand, and more than the brand, I wanted that brand to really be connected to excellence. And excellence means not lying, treating the horse right, treating the customer right, and just showing an image. And I always thought, you know what, if I do a good job at that, then I can cash in later on using that brand, because then people recognize that brand with quality. So that's how I connected with some of the brands. For example, Classic Equine, Nutrina. Some of those guys have been with me since 2003, most of them actually. And I'm proud of that, because I'm not the type of guy that jumps on to the next great deal that's presented to you. It's about the people that's been there from the beginning.
Loyalty for sure.
You know, and then I think Bob was talking about on your podcast too about making money where you sleep, right?
Oh yeah. And for me, like the DVDs, that kind of stuff, I'm working now on a new, because I've changed my program so much since my last series of DVDs that I'm working on a new one, and Clinton Anderson helped me a lot on that. That part of the business, just like Clinton said, you know, you can win the Futurity and win $200,000, but then, you know, that's it. It's gone.
Right.
You know, but when you invest in $30,000-$40,000 in making a nice DVD series and it sells for the next 15 years, that's guaranteed money there.
Absolutely.
You know?
Exactly.
Those are smart things to do, and that's what when young people tell me all they are wanting to do is learning about the reining and the maneuver, but it's not just about that. You got to be smart in everything that you do.
I mean, we all eventually want to kind of sit back a little bit and make money while we're sitting back a little bit, so we don't have to work this many hours.
Well, just like what we're doing right now too. You know? We do it for the right reason, but on the other hand, we're building something, a platform that we can use later on for something else.
For sure.
You know?
How about The Last Cowboy? You want to talk about that, like how that happened, and then the first season, and then maybe a second season?
Well, I think that Taylor Sheridan did something great, not just for the sports of reining, but for all Western disciplines a little bit, because it brought attention to what we do every day. And Taylor and I had talked about it a long time ago, and I thought he was kind of full of crap when he told me he was going to do a TV show. How many guys have we seen? That they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to put reining in the Olympics, or we're going to do that, or, you know, yeah, whatever. But he actually came to it, and when he presented me the final product, I was like, wow, I was impressed. I mean, the money that he collected and the sponsors behind that show were pretty impressive. What I loved was that it wasn't scripted. For us, they just followed us. Like at my ranch, they came in at 4:30 in the morning when I started every day. They followed me around, and basically they just sat back and let us kind of do our own thing.
And if things get better, will there be a second season of it next year, maybe?
Yeah, it was planned on this year, and then with COVID happening, it kind of went to crap. But yeah, I talked to Taylor. We were filming some scenes at the Best of the West for Yellowstone, and he told me that he's got it in the plans for another season. Awesome. So it will be great. And actually, he's got the plans for a cutting series and for a roping series. So he's doing more and more.
Perfect. How about, again, I'll go back to your family and balancing. How do you balance your time, your family, your business, and just for you?
Well, we go 100 miles an hour, and that's just been bred into me early on. Yep. And I married a girl like Tish that was very, very similar. I don't think each one of us with another person that wasn't so intense probably would have been able to do it. So the two of us together worked really well. She follows mainly my son Jeremy, and she's on the road all the time. I just had to buy a second RV now because they use it for the races. I use it for this. But I don't have much time for myself. But the time that I spend for myself is the one that I spend off a horse with my family. Yeah. So anytime I can go to a motorcycle race, or anytime that I've got my son and Tish at the shows with me, that's time that I enjoy. So just a few hours, for example, between rides in the RV together to where we're watching a movie, that's already quality time for me right there.
And then how about your family back in Italy? Do you get contact with them and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, this has been tough. Obviously, the last year and a half, nobody's traveling, so it's kind of tough. But they either come over or they're getting older now. I went over with my two sons just a few months ago. But yeah, we stay in touch. But it's tough. I mean, I'm the only one here. My whole family is all in Italy. So.
Okay, how about toward the end here? So I always ask people about younger trainers, advice for them, like either going out on their own or going under a program. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, going under a program, I think it's obviously picking the right program. I think it's huge. I spend a lot of time myself really looking into who do I want to learn from, because it needs to reflect your type of personality, your type of, what are you looking to be later on. So once you pick your program, I say stick with it. And that's probably the biggest thing that I see with these guys nowadays. And I'm always sound like an old guy, but it was normal for me when any of my friends, we always went to work, and we were willing to work for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it took in order to learn. When I went and worked for Todd Berg, and I told Todd, I'm like, you're the first and the last person I'm going to work for, but I can tell you it's going to work. And he looked at me like, yeah, you know how many people have come to this? But I came in determined that I was going to learn everything I could from that guy. Yeah. And that was my main thing. And that's what I try to tell the young trainers now. Don't be in a hurry to do your own thing, because there's so much more to training than just learning the technique.
How about molding your assistant trainers now, or in the past? How did you? What did you do to do that? Like
I tried to teach our horsemanship.
Yes.
I try to. They're going to be the type of trainer that they're going to be. I don't want them to try to be Andrea Fappani and imitate. Because anytime you imitate somebody, it never really works out. You got to be the type of person that you are. But you can learn from somebody everything that they know, or a lot of it. So I try to share as much knowledge as I can. But for me, they think I'm a pain in the ass because I make them rep all their own horses. I make them tack their own shoes on and do that kind of stuff. We don't wait for 3 days and go ride them without a shoe just because the shoer's not here. You better learn. All the guys with me, they spend time with my horseshoer. Yeah. They learn how to tack a shoe on.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm at the horse show.
That's a new one I've ever heard. That's awesome.
I'm at the horse show, for us, we lose a lot of front shoes when they slide. And if I'm in the middle of the night before the final and I don't know how to tack a shoe on, I don't want to cripple my horse or not ride it. So, we go back to the barn, we tack the shoe back on and fix it and go back.
Pretty good, huh?
You need to.
I love that.
You need to be a horseman. And that's what I try to teach these guys. I'm like,
I love that.
They all feed the grain because I want them to look at the horses that if they have water, if they ate the grain that they fed in the morning. So on Sundays, even my guys, they feed the grain. I don't expect them to clean stalls and do all that because it's obviously a waste of time for guys that are good on a horse, but they gotta be horsemen. You know, I can't stand a guy that'll go out and feed a horse and doesn't see that he pooped in the water and stuff like that.
Right.
Just the minimal stuff.
Drives you nuts.
And that's pretty common.
It's very common.
Right. So how about okay, let's do podcasts first. So how often do you do podcasts, or do you just like you did one today?
I did one today because I had some time today, and I'd love to do one every week.
Yeah.
And I was doing that this year that we were at home, but then the shows started going like crazy. So for me, it takes a lot of time, and I'd love to be a little prepared and know the person that I'm interviewing.
And how do they go?
So I've got a partner, and Tutol, which is Cam's husband, Esek. He's the one that has all the equipment. So we get on the phone, he records it, he does the editing. I ask mainly the questions and what I want to talk about, and then he does the editing, and then we put it out. And
then do they go like the Apple Store or
any of the podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Anything Pandora, and then go to the Apple Store, and then you either download them or you view
along
them.
with the ride.
Yeah, along for the ride, we have a website.
So that's the thing I was going to ask you about your website.
Yeah.
What is that?
FapaniPerformance.com, and we have all the info there. But mainly for the podcast, for me, it's I just want to get followers just so that it can get bigger. Like I said, it's a platform for horse people, horse lovers, and that can share information. And that's
Is there, like, when they ask you questions, is that on your website they do that?
They can go on Facebook. They can go.
Facebook,
they can go on Instagram. We have an Instagram page, and I love and invite people all the time to ask me questions because that sparks my interest for the next podcast.
Right, right.
Good and bad. We've had a lot of people that disagree with me, but that's the whole point.
Yeah.
I don't want people to agree with me.
Right.
I want to spark up as a conversation, and then let's hear what you got to say. You know?
Yeah.
Well, weren't you saying that you're going to make a podcast of all the questions that they come?
Yeah,
like everyone submits
I'm
questions.
gathering. I'm gathering as much as I can, but I want to do a podcast on what people want to hear, not what I want to talk about.
Right,
you know?
right. I think that's. I heard that, so I said that's perfect for you because you have all the answers and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm closer.
Yeah, but I want to go back and touch on just a couple of things because as I've heard him talk, you know, really as much as that I know about him is from the TV show, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that have learned a lot.
And I mean, I've watched your career, like I'll watch the Fraternity from home or whatever.
Yeah.
But to hear how you're such a champion for the horse, honestly, and then to hear how much you want to bring up horsemen in our industry, I mean, that to me, those two things is enough to know that you're a good guy and that you want it all for the right reasons. It's not just about lining your pockets, right? That's just kind of a byproduct of who you want to be.
We're all competitive. We want to win, but we want to win for the right reasons, right?
Right. Yeah. But Doug Hammock, friend of ours that runs Sun Circuit, helps run Sun Circuit. You know Doug. Yeah. So he was keeping me up to date. He was telling me about the Last Cowboy, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is the Last Cowboy? Yeah. And so he's telling me about it and the Run for $1 Million, and it's going to be at Las Vegas because he was working there. Yeah. But I said, so every time I'd see him, I'm like, so what's going on with the show? He's like, man, that Andrea guy, he goes, after every time, he would of all of them, he was the one that always wanted to make sure his horses were in good shape, you know, like he's the one that would check their water. He would freshen their water, and just that. I'm like, I don't know this guy, but to know how much you've won, and the career that you've made, but to know that is still paramount to you. And it's not, well, I got somebody that really is good at taking care of that, but you do that yourself. You were the one going and filling your horse's water bucket, making sure it was clean. It was just those little things like that stick out to me.
We were talking before the show, you know, I think it gives you a little bit of an advantage also because you know everything about that horse. You know, when it comes to there's so many guys that are so competitive that just having a little bit of an edge, sometimes it gives you something more. So for a guy to bring the horse out and warm him up for me and then me not noticing anything and jumping on, maybe he came out and did 3-step soar out of the stall. He didn't look back and see it. And then by the next day we have a problem. So if I can catch something early on, or if they're not drinking as much, and by the time I come to the horse show, it's the little details that matter.
Well, and I sat there yesterday. You probably didn't know it, but you were out there lunging.
Yeah.
I don't know which horse you were lunging at the time, but you watch that thing every step.
Yeah, well, I want to. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're not just
and
like looking around or on your phone or anything. I mean, you're watching that horse all the way around lunge circle, and it was kind of interesting. Because you don't see very many reiners do that.
No.
If you do, it's their help.
They make fun of me because I lunge my horses, but I'm like, well, in between my rides, I want to see how he's moving. I want to see if he's coming out.
I mean,
fresh.
that's what it looked like to me. You weren't trying to exost him. Yeah. You weren't beating him with the whip.
Right.
I want to see, do I need to ride him more tonight? Do I need to ride him less?
Right.
You know.
It was just interesting to me, but I thought, and then confirmed it when I heard that you started in English. I've been in a lot of barns that were some public barns, and they had dressage trainers, and I learned so much from those dressage trainers. And to hear Bob last night talking about that too, that's how he learned the lead change. They helped me so much in learning the lead change.
I think it's the closest thing to reining. I always say, when people don't know anything and they come from English, I say, well, think about a dressage in Western setting, pretty much.
So I'm going to sidebar one because I missed one question about the lead change. Okay, we talked about the small circle to lead change, or just circling. I mean, that's a great art that I've seen you ride, and I know you pay a lot of attention to that.
Well, you would think that circling would be the easiest thing, and it's one of the hardest things to get a circle right. There's ways and ways of circling, obviously, But,
so, do you have any tips on circling and stuff like that, or what you're thinking about? Or
well, for me, it's not just about circling. Yes. Well, I do have a tip for that, but before we even get to that, I think that I don't teach the circle. I teach the horse to always listening to where I want him to go and what kind of position I want him in. So it goes back to the foundation. Yep. Instead of teaching the maneuver, I teach where I can put that horse. So then if I know where I want him, then the horse is going to follow wherever I want to go. So for me, the circle is not the end of the world, because it's not that I'm expecting that horse to do it on his own. I expect him to follow my guidance. Right. So if he follows every step that I do, then it's no big deal. But I do notice, especially here, and it might be a tip for maybe some of the amateurs, in this arena here in Oklahoma, it's a lot of oval arenas. Right. Let's break down the circle. So you've got a perfect rectangle. Here it's even not, because it's a little stretched out. But people tend to follow the wall all the way around. And then they have a heck of a time finding the center, because if you follow all the way around, it's an oval. It's not a circle anymore. Yeah. And even if it was a perfect rectangle, if you think about, you're going across the middle, so you're going on the fence in the middle, but then you've got the top and the other sides that you're off a little bit because you can't go on the wall, right? So let's say you're like 3 feet off the wall because you don't want to go on top of the judge. If you stay on the center and you go 3 feet here, 3 feet there, 3 feet there, you're going to miss the center, because you should be 3 feet to the inside. So in order to do it, I always tell my guys, go to the middle, go 2 feet there, 2 feet there. How many feet there? 4 feet in order to do a perfect circle. But most people think, no, 2, 2, 2, 2. No, because then you're going to miss the center. So
I got to build the course in the arena, so I get what you're saying.
You got to break it down. A lot of reiners, I'm telling you, there's so many open riders that have no idea what a circle really is. You know,
but what a great tip that is. Just, I mean, a different way of saying it. I know exactly what he's saying, because the arena, the shape of that thing, when I'm building my stuff.
Well, it's like one of your pinwheels.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, when you have 4 stride or a 3 stride, I mean, you have to.
But isn't
it's all a measurement.
When we go through the middle, we think, oh yeah, we're just going through the middle. Well, if you cut that arena in half, you're going right on top of that wall. So if you stay off the other walls and you go on top of that one, and you try to go the same distance there, it's not going to be a circle anymore.
The math doesn't work, right?
The math doesn't work.
And your horse is going, hey, I thought this was a circle, right?
And then when you're coming in and you're cutting in, you're like, oh shit, now you're steering out, now you're steering back in, and then the horse falls out of the lead.
Your horse, what the, where you want me to go?
Okay, sorry to guess off track. I love circles. I love circles. So it's as I was.
And you would think that people would know that, but that was my dad early on. He was like, he would study everything, and he would sit in the center and like, you're too close to that wall, too far to this wall.
For sure.
And that's what made me, a lot of people that watch me, like, I love to have fresh ground, because I love to lay out a pattern that people see only my tracks.
That came out on the show, you remember?
So,
like, they always drag right before.
I got tracks I got to set. I got to set the standard out here for y'all. Okay?
But even here, I got the fresh ground, so I guess I got my connection.
Wow, that's all good. That's all good.
That's awesome.
It doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm good here. How are you, Bradford?
Likewise, man.
Thank you, guys.
It was a pleasure. I mean, it was so fun to say I always say it's about going on your journey with you.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, so from your beginning to the middle to the end, like, just tell me how it went and to share it with everyone. I mean, like my friend Sarah, like, is he coming on tonight? I go, yeah. She was like all excited for chat. Right?
Oh, that's Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
And
like, Sarah Simons?
Yeah,
or-
no. And so I go, yeah, 6 o'clock tonight. Beer. Oh, yeah, okay. She was all excited.
What you guys are doing, it's really good. So good job.
Thank you, man.
Well, you don't even
Appreciate
know
it.
That,
Yeah.
that you touch and stuff like that.
Well, that's a good, there was another girl that walked by and she's like, "Here, you're gonna be on team show today." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm so excited."
I love that. I love that. That's perfect.
Well, we've been excited. I mean, I've told everybody I passed today. I said Andre's going to be on the show. He's like, he doesn't know it, but he's like an idol of mine. And
I didn't even know when you guys had Bobby. I'm like, "Oh, I wish they would have asked me at some point."
Right
There
here.
you go. Now
Here
I'm
you
in.
go.
there it is. There we go.
Back to
There
back,
we go.
man. Back to back. Bring some music, Kona.
Now you're connected, dude.
Thank you, guys.
Bring us out.
All right. Thank you, guys. We still got Matt tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, Matt.
Okay, so we're following it up with another Last Cowboy.
We're three-peating now. We got
character, I guess.
the third piece of the puzzle.
He's gonna be the real actor.
Oh, yeah.
The rookie.
It's good. I knew Matt would do so
We'll,
so funny.
we'll see y'all tomorrow night. Thank you, sponsors, again. We couldn't do this without you. Y'all have a safe night.
Thank you so much.
See you on Monday.